So the next Legend of Zelda game might not be the mainline Legend of Zelda game, but actually a spin-off Legend of Zelda game. So if we look at this thread right here, you can see that the next Legend of Zelda game could be coming up and is in works with one of the developers from Xenoblade Chronicles. Now this is really cool in fact because Xenoblade Chronicles is a game that is an open world sort of an adventure game, and if this is true that it's not going to be a mainline Legend of Zelda game but a spin-off Legend of Zelda game, it leads you to believe I wonder what's next. I'm sitting here rattling my head wondering what in the world is next for the Legend of Zelda, because it would have made sense if this would have been the mainline Legend of Zelda game, because we know a bunch of different factors. The game is going to be open world because it makes the most sense. The two best-selling Legend of Zelda games is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and this is by a long shot, so this is going to be open world. But what does this mean exactly for a spin-off Legend of Zelda game? Now, Xenoblade Chronicles is definitely pretty interesting and sort of close to The Legend of Zelda, but it's still pretty far off when it comes to terms of it. Now, if you were to take this into consideration, let's just say that the next Legend of Zelda game is going to be a turn-based combat. Now, it's not going to be a main line, so you don't have to worry about that. It's not going to be some sort of turn-based Pokemon combat game. No. But what if the next spin-off Legend of Zelda game is a turn-based combat game? Once you get into combat, you use swords and slashing, because we've seen a lot of different spin-off Legend of Zelda games in the past. Like we got Link's crossbow training on the Wii. Hyrule Warriors is another sort of game. We got the Legend of Zelda Crypts, the one that plays music and you have to jump around. There's a lot of different spin-off Legend of Zelda games, and a lot of them are really good. Some of them are really weird and quirky, and others, well, let's just skip over those. But when you really come to think about it, a Legend of Zelda game is pretty much just fun, exploration, being able to learn the story of your characters that you're getting to know as you progress. It's really interesting. And now that it's going into Xenoblade Chronicles territory, now I'm just going to be very truthful right here. I've never played a Xenoblade game in my life, so I can completely misrepresent Xenoblade as a whole, and please let me know if I do, but I made sure to watch a couple trailers, and that's where I'm at with this. So let's just say that it's going to be something like Xenoblade, something like Hyrule Warriors. Now those are probably the two biggest ways that the Legend of Zelda could go for a spin-off game. Now first off, we got open world adventuring game, but not going to be the mainline Zelda game with all the cool story, all the cool exploration, but this time around it's going to be turn-based battle. Now hear me out. Turn-based battle, it would be pretty interesting. So you got your sword in one hand, then another move, you can use Super Slash. Yep, Super Slash could be the other move. And then later on, you get different upgrades that you can upgrade your sword. You could eventually get the Master Sword. And then this turn-based battle becomes a whole new Legend of Zelda thing. I know this is very interesting because turn-based combat, it kind of be like Game of the Year winner, Claire Obscure Expedition 33. Now, we all know that that game definitely did very well with its turn-based combat, and maybe this is where the Legend of Zelda spin-off game is going to be headed. Turn-based battles, so once you do a turn-based battle, you either get rubies and you can go to a shop. You go straight to the shop and you can buy potions, you can buy different upgrades, you can buy a whole bunch of different things, swords, shields, and then eventually you do a whole bunch of more of these turn-based combat things and you make your way over to a dungeon, or so happens to be a dungeon. Now this would essentially be kind of like a gym battle in Pokemon, but more like a dungeon battle where you have to battle a whole bunch of creatures with your turn-based mechanics, and then you unlock different things inside of the dungeon. Maybe you get a key item like a grappling hook, or you get something like a fire wand or an ice wand or whatever, and it helps you out throughout your adventure. You get up to 2 weapons, I would say, a slot of 2 different weapons while you're inside of these turn-based battles, so you can use your sword or your bow, or you can switch that out for like an icicle or like a fire wand or whatever the case may be. Maybe we can see the return of a bunch of different Legend of Zelda characters. Since it's a spin-off game, it's not going to be connected to the timeline whatsoever, so they can essentially disrupt the timeline because it's not going to be connected. So let's just say that it's just one straight line, one straight timeline. This is the entire Legend of Zelda timeline, and we can make an alternate timeline for this game, like we did with Hyrule Warriors, the original Hyrule Warriors for Nintendo Switch, the definitive edition or whatever it was. Hyrule Warriors, yeah, so I think a turn-based Legend of Zelda game would be really, really interesting, and it can bring the Legend of Zelda to so many new faces. Now, of course, I could be completely wrong on how Xenoblade Chronicles actually works, but for me, I feel like it's a turn-based combat game, so, you know, yeah, let's just say that it's a turn-based combat game. I think it would be really interesting. You can go from point A to point B in different points in the world. Now, this could be like a two-dimensional game, but it wouldn't make much sense because Xenoblade is more like a open world game. So essentially, they can just do a flat open world with sort of little dungeons and mechanics and whatever the case may be. You walk in there, you do all your battling stuff, you go and save Hyrule. I don't know, it's really, really interesting. So, yeah, it's not going to be the mainline Legend of Zelda game. So, you don't have to worry about it. Man, I don't want my Zelda game to be a turn-based battle sort of combat thing. I want my game to be like Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. No, we do know that they're not going back that route. So, whatever the next one is, it's going to be completely separate from the Breath of the Wild Hyrule and the Tears of the Kingdom Hyrule. So, it could just be a plain flat lands with a couple dungeons, maybe a volcano, because every single Legend of Zelda game has to have some volcano, right? We got some icy mountain, or it could be completely separate. Maybe the next Legend of Zelda game will release, and then this game's gonna come along after that with like kind of like Link's crossbow training and Twilight Princess. You saw some Twilight Princess environments in Link crossbow training, but it was just Link's crossbow training, no Twilight Princess. That was actually funny story. Supposed to be Twilight Princess too. I know, it's pretty crazy, but E.G. Aonuma didn't really want to do that. So anyways, it's a really interesting thing, and it leads you to believe so many different things. The Legend of Zelda is one of the most enhanced storytelling driven games pretty much of all time, I would say. And it's really awesome. It's really awesome to be pointing sort of towards that direction, because I think any game, sort of like Clair Obscur Expedition 33, would make some great sense. Because imagine that, a Legend of Zelda game, but sort of like Clair Obscur. It really worked out. That world was great, and it kind of reminded me of a game. Now, I would say Xenoblade, but like I said, never played that game in my life. So I'm probably going to have to play that game. So please let me know what the best Xenoblade game is, and I will make sure to jump on the Xenoblade train just to try it out to see, is that game good? Am I enjoying this game? Anyways, what do you think about this? Do you think this is going to happen, or do you think this is a whole lot of baloney, a whole lot of hooey? Lately, we've been getting so much Legend of Zelda news that I don't know what to believe anymore. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Hope that you enjoyed. With that being said, have a fantastic day. Consider to hit the like button. Maybe subscribing if you're new. I do have a bunch of different Nintendo content. Legend of Zelda, Mario, Pokemon, Kirby, whatever the case may be. Thank you so much. With that being said, have a wonderful Christmas. We're almost there. See you in the next one.